Good afternoon, folks, and welcome to your Rangers Review Q&A show. For those of you that are new to the channel, the show is run by you guys, so get your questions in. I'll get through as many as I possibly can. As ever, I popped out the link in the community page a little earlier on, and there are some questions on there, so we'll tackle those first of all before addressing the ones on the side of my screen. So yeah, let's get stuck in, shall we? First of all, Aaron Wark gets in touch. He says, did we ever manage to get compensation for Bisgrove leaving? He left for Saudi Arabia, of course, a few months ago now. Rangers still without a replacement. John Gilligan has seen speaking about the need to employ a replacement for James as a matter of priority. Seen an interview he gave to Sky a little bit earlier on as well, where he says he hopes to get someone in as soon as possible, and the idea is to have someone in place before Christmas. We'll very much hope that he's in place well before then. But in terms of the compensation, it wasn't noted before. There are reports that Rangers received around about £100,000 for James Bisgrove departing at the time. So yeah, I think it would be roughly round about that figure, buddy, in terms of compensation. Dana Life says, do you think PC should keep the same team on the park from the weekend? And do you think Sterling will be at left back? We discussed this when I was just off the video with Joshua, the issue of left back. I think Sterling is the player most likely to play there. Narisho Casemiro can play there, of course. There was a shout for Robin Proper to play out there. I've said before, you know who I want to see starting at left back, and that is Robbie Fraser. I'd like to see him getting a shout in place of Jefte, but I think the manager will go with Sterling. In terms of the same team, I think that Mohamed Diamandi is going to come in. Who that is for, who knows? With Sterling, if he is pushed out on the left, then it does free up a position in midfield. I know that Joshua was speaking about Nico Raskin potentially coming in to partner Connor Barron. Does Tom Lawrence start? And if he doesn't, do you play Bayrami in the number 10? Do you play Oscar Cortez on the left? Or do you have a Barron Diamandi in Raskin midfield? Certainly options for the manager to choose from. We'll get a clearer picture as to who is available tomorrow, but I'd imagine if it is the same players available, then we'll see a change at left back with Jefte not playing, and a change in midfield with Sterling either dropping to the bench or moving to the left-hand side of the back line. Gary Hyatt gets in touch. Afternoon, Gary says, have you been in the new stand yet? Is it as good or as bad as some of the pics have made it out to be? Yeah, I've seen this over the weekend. Some images doing the rounds, of course, of what looks like a potential restricted view from the back of Copeland front, where the cantilever has been erected. Now, I've heard that it's mischief making by some that are standing up in the disabled the case with regards to it. But I think, yeah, I've seen pictures of that disabled platform and it looks absolutely fantastic. I was concerned slightly when I seen some of those pictures. I don't want supporters to have their view restricted as a result of the works, but I do not believe that is the case. But if you are sitting in the Copeland Road stand, folks, in and around that area, then by all means let us know if your view is affected somewhat. But I think it was more mischief making than anything else, guys. Stood up at the back of the stand as opposed to sitting down in the seats. But yeah, let us know. I've not been in that stand, so I do not know. I cannot tell you one way or another. But yeah, if you are in the Copeland, then do let us know, folks. Kev Miller gets in touch. John Gilligan has a short time to make his mark where he can. CEO stuff is a priority, but I think a good achievement would be to negotiate with Hagi and previous club to compromise and allow the boy to be in the squad. Fair enough if Clement chooses not to select him, but being frozen out for financial reasons reflects badly on us and makes future signings and their agents wary of Rangers. Touched on this with Joshua at the tail end of the show a little bit earlier on. Scored 2 goals, Ianis Hagi, in the match earlier today against Huddersfield for the B team at the training centre. Rangers winning by 3-2, and he also set up a goal for Finlay Cortez. My views on Hagi is, like you, Kev, I would like Rangers to settle the difference, settle whatever is outstanding, come to some sort of agreement with Hagi, and if it's Genk that a payment is required, then listen, I understand Genk wanting the amount that has been agreed. If he has to trigger an appearance clause in his contract that they are due a certain chunk of cash, so I get their factor in this all, but yeah, it does not shine a light kindly on Rangers. I know in Romania, where Hagi is a god over there, they've been coming in for a bit of criticism at Rangers, not only from his dad, but certain other Romanian footballing figures. So yeah, I would have liked Rangers and the player to have come to some sort of agreement over the course of the summer. Hagi, of course, was looking for a move out of the club, didn't materialise, so he's at Rangers until January at least. So certainly by what Clement has said about the issue over the past few weeks and a couple of months, his stance hasn't changed. He will not be considered for selection, and it's a crying shame. I think Rangers could be doing with a player. I'm not saying that he's world class in any way, shape or form, but certainly with the options that the manager has at his disposal, you're not telling me that they're far and away better than what Ianis Hagi can give you. So yeah, I think it does reflect badly on the club, unfortunately, and but I do not see that issue being resolved unless there is a coming down, a sort of a coming together between player and club on that one. So I think, yeah, just these B team matches that he's taking part in will just be keeping them tiding over, I'd imagine, keeping them fit and getting game time that he requires. George Thompson gets in touch. He says, Derek Joshua, will Cortez even be risked for 30 minutes or more on Thursday? Good question, George. Should Rangers start Oscar Cortez, do you think, against Malmo? Will Clement do that, or will he play Needham by Rami over on the left, as he has done, as he did do when he came off the bench at Tannadice, and he started, of course, against Dundee? Thought he looked good on the left, but we all know, and he said himself, he wants to play the number 10 role. Will he be risked? I think he'll come on at some point if he doesn't start Oscar Cortez. Of course, it was highly unfortunate that he wasn't available for selection for the Benfica games last season. Much of that was down to the European squad that was selected at the start of the season and which players were able to be added. But yeah, listen, they are just gradually reintegrating them back into the team. But I would like to see him at some point, maybe not necessarily from the start, but at some point in the game against Malmo. He's a good player, Oscar Cortez, and he's a player that can inflict damage on the opposition. So I think I would like to see him feature because of that. Blazing Blue 72 says, I still think all the cost cutting, no CEO or director of football is due to impending buyout, a major purchase of shares up to 50%, with the new investor choosing own folk. Yeah, I mean, John Gilligan said yesterday that they are looking for new investment, and they are speaking to people with regards to that. I know Dave King has been very vocal with regards to the club needing investment, outsider investment, external investment, and not the current shareholders. He said that there's investor fatigue, which the current board have come out and denied. But it won't go away. Rumours of potential investment and potential takeover as well. Now, nothing concrete at this moment in time, but I do think Rangers do need some external investment from somewhere. It can't continue the status quo as we are at this point in time. No CEO or director of football. Listen, Rangers are a big football club. I think it's a crying shame we don't have a CEO in place or a director of football as such either. My point of view is, if you want to act like a big club, act like a big club. If you want to be a big club, act like a big club. And yeah, I'm slightly concerned the fact that Rangers do not have someone there at Ibrox to deal with the day-to-day stuff that goes on. And ever since James Bisgrove left, they would have had an inclination that a departure was possibly on the cards. So you would like to have thought that the club would have had potential contenders to replace James lined up. but it doesn't look like that has been the case. The fact they went down the road with Jim Gillespie, it looked like he was taking over. For him to walk away doesn't look good. And I've seen that John Gilligan and Chris mentioned this last week about the CEO search and are Rangers back to square one. Gilligan, speaking to Rangers TV, said that they'll take up conversations with respective candidates that Ent had in mind in the process previously. I'm not necessarily sure that is the right road to go down either. I'm not sure. I mean, if they're not considered good enough at that stage, then are they good enough now at this point in time? A lot of questions up in the air with regards to a CEO. The director of football, of course, Ross Wilson, has left for some time now. What, a year and a half now going on for? When you left for Nottingham Forest, Rangers gave Michael Beale pretty much free rein to go out there and select the players that he wanted last summer. Some have proven to be huge flops, and some have delivered at moments, and some have been a relative success. But Rangers need a director of football in there. I know that Niels Coppins came in as head of recruitment, but for me, they need a sport director, a head of football in there. Now, I know that John Gilligan was pressed on this in his press conference yesterday. I think it was the final question that was posed to him. And his response was, if I scroll down and find it here, he was asked, are there any other plans for the football board, such as a sporting director? And his response was, it will be full focus on the chief executive, because in turn, if we bring in people, we'd really like to think we would be part of that. We've also got a very competent executive team here, heading up commercial and marketing, finance and stadium. We've got a very competent team of guys and girls here. We'll be fine. They're not connected. Sometimes people get headhunted and move on. We're in a strong place. So that is what John Gilligan had to say when he was asked about a sporting director. So certainly one is not in the pipeline by the looks of things. Right, let's move on. Robert, we have a couple of questions here. Just a reminder, folks, just blanking in my face here. Let me scroll. Let me bring down my laptop here. Robert says, afternoon all. I haven't actually been tuning in recently because of the nonsense that's been coming out of Ibrox. Do you think Rangers are getting run out of the same biscuit tin Celtic was in the 90s? I just think, well, Celtic are shopping in markets that Rangers would love to shop in with regards to players. Their player trading model has been up and running and successful for some years now. Rangers want a player trading model to be up and running. At the moment, it's just it's something that they're looking to get going. I know that John Gilligan was touching on it in his press conference yesterday as well, about the gap and how Rangers bridge that gap. This is what he had to say. Player trading is the biggest success in qualification for the Champions League. It is a kind of catch-22. Player trading gets you income. Champions League gets you income. When you fail to get it, it is difficult because Scottish football's level of support, TV sponsorship, etc., you just can't compare it to England. So it is always a challenge. Of course it is. It is all about the squad and bringing in players and winning your matches and moving forward. So no, it's not necessarily a biscuit tin. I just don't think Rangers have the cash at this moment in time. We heard Dave King and Graham Souness saying that Rangers need £50 million to compete with Celtic. That would be fabulous. I think they've not spent the money that they've had at their disposal wisely down the years. I don't think there's any debate about that. So unfortunately, Celtic are richer than Rangers, and it's galling at this moment in time. They're racking up title after title. They're bringing in players that we would like to bring in ourselves, and they're playing in a competition that we'd like to be playing in. That's the sad reality of it. Rangers are chasing, and let's hope they catch up, because it does not bode well. Dave King mentioned this when he released a statement to the Rangers Review earlier on, well, last week. He says that the Rangers board are sleepwalking to Celtic racking up title 55, 56, 57. And a lot of supporters are concerned about that being the case. Celtic at this moment in time are strong, and they don't look like letting up. They look like they're getting stronger, certainly by the deadline day signings, how they've started the season. And yeah, it's up to Rangers to try and close that gap. And I said it before, I think people have said it before as well, it might be a transitional season, it might be in for a rocky road ahead, but you just need to trust the manager that we have in place at this moment in time with what he's trying to do. It's a rebuild job of massive proportions. It's not going to take one window, it may take several windows, and even then you're hoping that Celtic regress somewhat as well. So yep, sorry state of affairs. It's incredible how Rangers find themselves in this position after winning title number 55, but is where the club are at this moment in time, unfortunately. Just off the back of that, Robert says, it's actually really embarrassing as a supporter these days. For example, 6,000 a week for 52 weeks for Hagi to play, or 20k at present not to be used. It's a joke. So having a say there on the Hagi situation. Yeah, listen, we touched on it before. It doesn't shine a light positively on the club, I don't think, the way this Hagi situation has unfolded. There's no doubt about it. That's the questions up here, folks. If you want to get your questions in, please do so. What I'll do is I'll give you an idea of what is on the YouTube channel to keep your eyes peeled for as well in the next couple of days. As many of you tuned in with myself and Joshua around about an hour ago now. Of course, he is over in Malmo at the moment. The Rangers press conference takes place tomorrow around about 6:30. Hopefully with flights being on time and what have you. I know that in the past it's not been the case, but Philip Clement will be speaking from the Malmo Stadium around about 6:30 UK time, 7:30 Swedish time. So we'll get an update from him, and Joshua will be joined by Johnny after that for their press conference reaction video. And yeah, Joshua joining me tomorrow morning from Malmo for the morning briefing. I spoke to the Malmo journalist Jonas Hansson from Gazetten, who is a news site covering the Swedish club. So he gave us a proper insight into Rangers Europa League opponents, what we can expect, what fans can expect that are turning up to the ground, me included. I cannot wait to head over, not being in the Rangers end for some time. So I'm heading over myself on Thursday for the game. A bit of a flying visit, but yeah, I know that many of you flying over into Copenhagen and crossing the bridge towards Malmo. So yeah, let's hope I'm watching a positive Rangers performance. I think it's going to be a difficult one against a team that are odds on set to win the Swedish Allsvenskan for the second year in a row. And they're a decent side. I know they've sort of had a stuttering few weeks, but they were in thumping form at the weekend, defeated Häcken by 4-0. And we all know Rangers' record at Malmo is not the best. Rangers' record in Sweden is not the best either. So it would be good to see that put right on Thursday evening. If you want to watch that John Gilligan press conference in its entirety, you can do so. It's on the YouTube channel. You can also read everything that he had to say over on the website as well. And we touched on, if you didn't join us, myself and Joshua, or you've seen the poster over the weekend, we do have a live show coming up next month, October the 16th. Myself and Joshua heading down to London to the Volley, which is a fantastic sports football bar down there in the Big Smoke. So we're going down there for a live show, and we'll be joined by Mark Hateley, no less, as well. So if you're based in and around London, it'd be great to see you. Tickets are still available. Head over to the Rangers Review website for those, or head over to the Volley. Search the Volley into Google or on social media, and you can pick up tickets for that event. Right, that'll do us there. Thank you to each and every one of you for your support to the channel as ever. It is much appreciated, and thank you for your questions as always. Also, I'll be back again tomorrow morning. Until then, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Bye for now.